Yo everyone, I just saw some massive fights announced by Dana White and the UFC only 2 hours ago, and I really wanted to give my reaction and early predictions for all these fights that were just announced. But do keep in mind, the predictions can change as I do tend to do more research and tape watching as I get closer to the card's actual date. Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev is a fight that we all knew was going to happen, but as of today, it is official and set to happen at UFC 322 on November the 16th at Madison Square Garden. Another double champ fight also will take place on the same card, with Zhang Weili moving up to challenge Valentina Shevchenko for the flyweight title, which is honestly a pretty sick fight and matchup. We also had something that I thought might get announced sometime soon, and that was a banger of a matchup between Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates being announced. That fight will also take place on UFC 322. Carlos Prates did call him out after his performance against Jeff Neal, and Leon Edwards was also hinting at this, saying he had a fight to get ready for, and the fight was going to be announced soon, so this is fantastic stuff to hear. And because Zhang Weili is moving up a weight class to challenge Valentina Shevchenko for the belt, it does mean she has now vacated the strawweight title, and it will be up for grabs between both Virna Jandiroba and Mackenzie Dern in a rematch as well. That should take place on UFC 321, and I can't say I'm super keen for that fight in particular, but it is for a belt, and it is something to mention, guys. Along with Umar, Nurmagomedov versus Bautista also being announced as well, which is a bit of a tricky one to predict, but I will give my early prediction for that one as well in this video. The last thing that I will talk about in this video is also the fact that we did hit 1,000 subscribers just yesterday, and I just wanted to take a bit of time to say thank you to all the people that have been supporting me and the channel along the way. I really do enjoy posting, guys. There is more to come on the channel. I made a post in my community section of my channel, but thought I would still take the time to give a proper thank you in a video to everyone who joined the recent stream as well, and to everyone who's just been liking the videos and commenting and communicating with me throughout my time getting to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys a ton. Thank you, everyone. Let's now go back and talk about the fight between Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev being announced, and who I think wins as an early prediction for the main event of UFC 322. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I think this is a genuinely tough one to pick. There are so many factors going into this one. Of course, we know that Islam is a big lightweight and he won't be completely undersized for the welterweight division, but this is still him stepping up a weight class to verse a guy that will be bigger than him, a significantly better striker than him, and the current champion of the division. There is also the fact that Islam, in his fight with Dustin Poirier, did show a lot of weaknesses in his defenses in the striking, especially towards the clinch and body shots. I remember watching Dustin Poirier just rip to the body so much in that fight, especially when he was backing up Islam Makhachev against the cage. Islam looked pretty solid on the feet overall in that matchup, but in my opinion, Poirier towards the end of his career started to lose more and more of the striking and boxing exchanges on the feet, not just to Islam Makhachev, but to many fighters, especially Max Holloway in his retirement fight. Even Benoit Saint Denis was looking good on the feet against Poirier, and with his grappling mixing in the first round of their fight. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't see him having anywhere near the level of success in the striking as he had in prior matchups like his fight with Volkanovski and Dustin Poirier when compared to JDM. It really is a 9-day difference. This is a young guy that is only improving. JDM is only 28 years old. He will be 29 by the time he fights Islam. He's just about to start entering his prime, and the man's ability to learn and adapt is so high level. His takedown defense, his ability to scramble when he does get taken down, and his ability to switch into his offensive trips and submissions is really improved a lot, and you can see it from his fight against Belal Muhammad. I do worry, though, about his ability to be held down and controlled on the ground, and I do think there is a good chance that Islam Makhachev will take him down and have him in some poor positions in the grappling, especially early on in this fight. But honestly, if Islam can't finish JDM early using the grappling advantage, I see him slowing down as the fight goes on and just losing the exchanges on the feet, potentially getting finished against the cage by TKO as well. As an early prediction, I think I'm leaning towards Della Maddalena to defeat Islam Makhachev by decision or late rounds TKO, just because I believe he won't handle the size and striking ability of JDM well at all in this matchup, especially as he starts to get tired and potentially get more of his takedown attempts stuffed whilst dealing with the forward pressure of JDM. People really underestimate how much more tired you can get when you're grappling a guy that might be 20 to 30 pounds heavier than guys you normally are used to grappling with. this would be the biggest win in Aussie MMA as well since Volk beat Max the third time. I really do think it's going to be a massive win for Aussie MMA. I really do think he can be the one to defeat Islam in this match. But remember, this is an early prediction, guys, so it isn't set in stone, but that is what I'm thinking as of right now. Moving on now to Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. And the thing about this matchup, guys, I feel like a lot of people are going to be leaning towards, at least initially, Zhang Weili over Shevchenko. But honestly, I feel like at this point in time, I would be slightly leaning towards Valentina Shevchenko to win this matchup. I do think this fight will go to decision, but I do see Valentina being able to win this fight on damage by avoiding a lot of the takedowns of Zhang Weili. I think both girls have been mixing in a lot more takedowns at this point in their careers. Valentina utilized them a lot in her last win against Manon Fiorot, which I picked Shevchenko to beat as an underdog as well, guys, in that fight. So I do anticipate that there will be takedown attempts and moments where there will be times at which they will be grappling back and forth on the ground. I see both girls initiating some takedowns in this fight, but I feel like I've watched Zhang Weili lose more striking exchanges throughout a bunch of her fights than I have seen Shevchenko lose pure striking exchanges through most of her fights. Zhang is incredibly strong, she's physical, she's got great cardio, and she's incredibly well-rounded, but Valentina is also all those things, and she's incredibly technical on the feet. I do think Zhang will be the more physical and powerful of the two, but I don't see that advantage being significant enough to matter when the fight is going to end up being on the feet and the girls are striking at range at each other. Zhang will have to cover some distance in this fight, and I just see Shevchenko getting the better of those exchanges. Valentina is a better counter striker, she's got cleaner boxing, she's got the better kicks, and she overall has way more experience striking against high-level strikers than Zhang Weili has, and this is coming from someone that believes Zhang Weili got robbed against Rose Namajunas in their rematch, guys. I really do like Zhang Weili. She is incredible. I just don't think she is enough to get through Valentina Shevchenko in this fight, at least in my initial reaction and prediction for the fight. Moving on now to an absolutely insane fight that was announced. Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Absolutely insane fight that I can't wait to see go down. I'm very happy they announced this one, and I'm sure both guys are keen for it. I do think that potentially, though, this could be the end of Leon Edwards ever getting close to the belt again, because, man, do I just see Carlos Prates being able to flatline him in this fight. I don't think Leon Edwards has versed anyone even close to the striking and danger level combined of Carlos Prates. I know he's versed people like Cowboy Cerrone, but come on, guys, compared Cerrone to Carlos Prates right now, I know some people are big Cowboy fans, and the man was top-notch back in the day, but he always started slow, and he was decently stiff when he fought. Even in his fight against Edwards, I'm pretty sure he got hurt early in the first round by a head kick too. I don't see that sort of thing happening to Carlos Prates. I see maybe a competitive first round where Leon is at range, trying to use his kicks and distance control to win the fight by outpointing Carlos Prates, but I just think at some point in this fight, Prates is going to be starting to pressure in slowly, waiting to get into the clinch of Leon Edwards, and then he's going to start battering him with knees and punches as he gets backed up more and more in this fight. I think Leon Edwards is going to need to be on his bike the entire time and fight a perfect fight offensively and defensively to win against Carlos Prates, in my opinion. I think he's going to need to use his grappling to the fullest to try to time solid entries on takedowns against Prates as well in this fight, because if he doesn't, I think Prates is going to start getting very comfortable and start ramping up the intensity of the fight as soon as it's halfway through round one. I don't see Leon Edwards being able to do an Ian Gary to Carlos Prates in this fight. Early prediction is Carlos Prates by KO in the later rounds. I'm going to say by knee to the body. Moving on to the new strawweight title fight, since Zhang Weili relinquished the belt, Virna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern 2, and I can't lie to you guys, this is a fight that doesn't get me very hyped at all for the division, but I'll just say that I do think Virna Jandiroba stands out to me as a fighter that is smart and genuinely hard to beat for the majority of girls in the division, and I personally have never thought very highly of Mackenzie Dern, besides maybe like her toughness or her ability to get the submission. I can see Virna Jandiroba being able to avoid the submission attempts, whilst being able to work her own grappling and wrestling control in this fight. I've seen Mackenzie Dern taken down, controlled, and ground and pounded by lesser grapplers than Virna Jandiroba, and I also see Jandiroba working on her striking a lot in this camp and being able to do well against Mackenzie Dern on the feet. Like, Mackenzie Dern really just ends up reaching forward a lot of the time with maybe like a 1-2 or a 1-2-1 that she does a lot in her fights, and I'm sure Virna Jandiroba will be prepared for that. Early prediction for this fight will be Virna Jandiroba by decision. Moving on now to the last fight that was announced, guys, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. And this was a little bit of a tricky one initially, like I mentioned, but in the end, I do think I'm going to be siding with Umar Nurmagomedov to win this one, and I'm going to say he wins it by decision win as well. Maybe Mario Bautista might get around in this fight potentially with his striking, because the dude is pretty underrated as a fighter and a striker in general in the division, but I do think Umar Nurmagomedov at some points in this fight is going to be able to take him down, control him, and work his grappling game against him to secure the win here. I don't know if I think he gets the submission win. Mario is pretty well rounded and he's pretty careful on the ground, but I do think he's good enough to find a way to get this fight to the ground and control Mario Bautista on the ground to get the win here. I'm going to say 29-28 decision win for Umar Nurmagomedov as an early prediction for this fight, but I might need to watch more fight tape, because when I saw it initially announced, I really thought that Mario Bautista might have had a good chance to pull a win out here. You guys will have to wait for my full card predictions and breakdown video for UFC 321 and 322 for proper predictions on all these fights though. Anyways guys, those were all the official fight announcements that came out today from the UFC, and those were also all my early predictions for each one of the fights that were announced. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know if you want me to make more videos like this, highlighting fights as soon as they're announced and doing early predictions. This is the first time I believe I have done this, if I'm not mistaken, so please let me know guys. Thanks for watching the video, and see you guys next time.